But right now, let's get to our featured review. And for that, I mean, there was a lot of stuff coming out. Todd talked about a few things that are out there. But what we're looking at is Death of a Unicorn. Another trailer that we were bombarded with constantly over the last month or two.
I never saw a trailer once.
What?
That's impossible.
No.
Yeah.
I'm even wearing my swim shorts. I'm not, but
I feel like I shouldn't be wearing swim shorts for this.
Didn't come to the Midwest.
Okay. Well, Zach, since you were the one that hated the idea of watching this movie the most, you get to start us off on this one and tell us what you thought of Death of a Unicorn.
I did hate the idea of watching this movie. So Death of a Unicorn is the latest A24 movie. Now, A24 makes two kind of movies, okay? On the one hand, they make the art movies that are really meant for the Oscar run. They help promote first-time filmmakers. They go on the festival circuit. And then there's the more kind of cash grabby A24 films, the ones that with recognizable actors, the ones that are released generally in the first half of the year. I would put Death of a Unicorn solidly in that category of A24 film. Although it is by a first-time director named Alex Scharfman. The movie stars Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega as a father and daughter. And of course, I'm sure that first thing you think of when you think those two are got to be related. And their names in the movie are Elliot and Ridley. And Elliot is a corporate attorney who is hired at the beginning of the movie by a rich family in some remote location with lots of trees and mountains, basically to handle their estate, but also their finances. And Ridley, played by Jenna Ortega, is the angsty teen. I mean, Jenna Ortega, angsty teen. I think it's sort of needless to say. In fact, her nose ring I thought was a little bit redundant in the highlights in her hair. But anyway, they get to the rich people's house, and the rich family is played by actors you would expect to play rich people like Richard E. Grant, Téa Leoni, and Will Poulter. And basically, they're kind of the family out of Knives Out. You know, they're very bougie. They're very pretentious. They got the kind of Saltburn sort of vibe to them. They're a little creepy. And they sort of put down, Paul Rudd. But along the way to meeting with this sophisticated aristocratic family, Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega hit what appears to be some sort of equine, but it actually turns out that it is a unicorn. That is some sort of horse with a cone in its head. And
protrusion.
Protrusion. Thank you. That's the actual technical scientific definition. And along with this incident comes some supernatural powers of healing, almost sort of a Ponce de Leon type thing that the unicorns seem to imbue on both Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega. And eventually, when this very rich family gets word of it, they are somehow involved in the pharmaceutical industry. Naturally, they become very conniving and eager to capture the unicorns and the prowess that they possess. Of course, the unicorns, though, are not too keen on that. This is a movie that has a pretty outrageous premise. I feel like on the heels of Mickey 17, this really should have been a Bong Joon-ho movie, or maybe even a Yorgos Lanthimos movie. I think those directors understand strangely powerful animals better than this first-time director does. This is a movie where it's kind of a one-joke premise, which is that the unicorns are both the desired creature, but also the creature that people are running away from because they possess not only magical abilities, but also the ability to ransack you with your horns and go into this movie with a drinking game. Every time a character gets bludgeoned by a unicorn horn, take a shot, and you'll get quite intoxicated. This movie, I thought, sucked. It has a dumb premise. It is an SNL sketch that is stretched out to 90 minutes. It bothered me from the very beginning when you have this blatantly unrealistic CGI unicorn that's running along the highway. I never believed it for a second that it was a real creature. You've got this, like I said, parasite Knives Out element that the movie is trying to capture. This sort of zeitgeist of let's screw the rich people, let's make them convenient villains, okay? And you get literally Richard E. Grant and Téa Leoni in the most, like, it's so obviously channeling movies that did a better job of basically presenting the exact same characters. Will Poulter does have some interesting moments in the movie. He's the one actor that I think has a sort of unique role in the movie, but I don't think he's particularly used well. Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd, obviously they're entertaining as actors. I wish they would do better projects. Okay. Paul Rudd is in the Ghostbusters movies. Jenna Ortega has done some junk. I don't know why these people can't choose better projects. I mean, this is A24. Maybe they thought that the label of A24 made this movie somehow more sophisticated or higher quality, but it is not. This is a movie that, like I said, one joke premise. It's excruciating. I think the movie's only like 95, 100 minutes, but it felt twice that length. It has nothing new to offer. It's not even as a gore fest. Okay, a few weeks ago when we reviewed The Monkey, I complained about that movie, how basically in order to escape trying to develop good characters or a unique storyline, it was just one extreme death after another. That's what this movie absolutely does too. It's not funny to just have a character get impaled every 5 minutes. Okay, I'm really tired of that premise. This is a lame, fairly excruciating movie. I give it 1.5 stars, mostly coming from Will Poulter and the fact that Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega have had some good interviews on Instagram. They both talked about how they're a big fan of the infinitely better Richard E. Grant movie Withnail and I, which I recommend people check out. The Criterion's coming out with a 4K edition of that movie, but this movie sucks, and it's a reminder that A24 movies are generally better in the second half of the year. So yeah, don't see this one. It's bad.
I'll go next. I'll defend it a little bit. I'm giving it 2.5 stars. It has some entertaining moments. But there was something I just couldn't put my finger on. I think you hit it when you said it's kind of a one-trick pony, and it's just kind of it's got the same thing. Yeah. It's got the same thing over and over again. It is interesting. It's always fun to see Richard E. Grant doing stuff. Tay Leoni. I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw her. And of course, NoHo Griff, Anthony Carrigan. You didn't even mention that. Now, Zach, you gotta tell me you never watched Barry, but now that you've seen this, he looks like Todd, right?
Well, I thought it was Yuri Borisov, the Academy Award nominee for a big stretch of the movie, but he didn't have a Russian accent, so I wasn't totally convinced. But yeah, yes, that actor did have some or some very realistic Todd appearance.
It's not just the baldness; he actually looks like Todd.
Now, is he a Ray Liotta fan? He didn't talk about that in the movie.
He did not. But yeah, I mean, I had fun with it, but ultimately, it's not that great. Will Poulter, though, like you said, he is in another movie than everybody else and is having a blast doing it. Is there a world Will Poulter could be James Bond? I feel like there's a world.
I don't think he's like dashing enough.
I think he could be a Bond villain. He's a Bond villain. Bond.
Yeah, that could be. He's already been an MCU villain. Why not be a Bond villain? Anyways, 2.5 stars. It's entertaining at times, but ultimately, it's fine. Todd?
Yeah, well, and the reason why it felt longer than 95 minutes because it's 110 minutes. This is a really long movie, and but I'm on board with Zach on this one. This movie is trash. And I hate that it focuses on the two least interesting characters. Like Paul Rudd is too default likable for that role. You needed someone like James Franco or Josh Hartnett or something, somebody who's a bit of a dick. But there's no stakes in this movie because they can't kill Paul Rudd. He's never gonna die. I mean, and the father-daughter stuff is just fluff. Like no one cares. Or I mean, I didn't care. The other family is the best part because of course Will Poulter. Like, is it like 90% the character and 10% Will Poulter? Probably, maybe, I don't know, but he kills it. And this, I was thinking this movie kind of felt like a weird Wes Anderson movie characters, but you put it in Ghostbusters, but you tell it like Zombieland. And I guess that is to say we needed Bill Murray to play the Richard E. Grant part, I guess, because he's in all three of those. But it's just bizarre how the movie's structured. And I think the biggest sin is that it's actually kind of boring. Like not just the Paul Rudd and Ortega stuff. They have zero chemistry, but how it treats the unicorn and stuff is really uninteresting and lame, except for the hallucinatory drug element of the horn and like snorting the horn. Like that was kind of interesting. But it kind of has this like one building setting of like Night at the Museum or something like that. Not that I've seen those movies, but the movie's dumb. I mean, you could tell it's a debut filmmaker, but it has an impressive cast. But I'm kind of glad that it flopped because we don't need movies like this. Sunita Mari is the second best part of the movie. She's always cool to see on screen. But yeah, I'm at 1.5 stars as well.
Yeah, the hallucination sequences feel like I was watching the opening sequence of Uncut Gems.
Yeah,
just like staring into the stone.
You know, I actually thought if you want to go Will Poulter, I think there should be a movie where Will Poulter is brothers with Joe Alwyn, and they can play the same asshole douchebag character. But you know, this movie to me is a missed opportunity, and maybe it goes back to that's a first-time director. Maybe you needed someone with a little bit more, not just experience, but also a knack for like subversiveness, because this movie is really one-dimensional in its attempted takedown of rich people. But you know, we're talking about an R-rated satire that also can be fun and violent, and this movie, for all intents and purposes, is I also think really immature. Like, I think I would be open to an idea of a movie where unicorns become, maybe Nicolas Cage need to be in this movie. I don't know, but the premise is absurd enough that it could have worked in a more, again, sophisticated, or maybe even, again, for lack of a better term, mature way. But this movie just, all it does is it just has dumb, violent, gory death scenes that, again, for every one of those, I was like, why can't we do something more interesting? Why can't we be a little bit funnier? And then every time you see Paul Rudd's dopey expression, all I could think of, and Todd's right, is Ghostbusters. This is an R-rated Ghostbusters entry, okay? And it's no better than those movies. It has the same essential core family values bullshit message as the Ghostbusters movies, and it's just a total waste of time. I don't even know. I think 1.5 stars is generous. Because honestly, I think this might even have been worse. I think I would prefer to see the Alto Nights. I think the Alto Nights had more interesting, crazy, batshit stuff happening in it than this movie, which wants to be batshit and crazy, but is just really lame and flat the whole freaking time.
All right, so who gave a better performance? Robert De Niro in the Alto Nights, Will Poulter in Death of a Unicorn, or Robert De Niro in the Alto Nights?
The second De Niro.
The second De Niro.
I would say
I'll let everyone decide which one that is.
The Unicorn gave the best, but CGI Unicorn. It was
Unicorn.
Quite impressive acting.
Well, see, I don't know that the first half of the year A24 is really all that different. Like, they had a Best Picture winner that came from the first half of the year, and they had Past Lives. Like, it's not like
also sucked.
I mean, it's not a cash grab. So I'm saying, like, it's not. I mean, this is the different thing. Like, this is them just showing that they're just any other studio.
But they have their weird stuff too, right? Because they, like, A24 did like Lamb and Wolf and those weird off-ball movies.
Don't they get the Ari Aster movies too?
I think so, yeah. So this feels like just the weird side of A24. It just got a cast,
and it's goofy,
and yeah, it's not like. But yeah, it's goofy. It's got CGI, and it has a star-studded cast of people that you recognize.
Has Jenna Ortega made a good movie? She was in X. We all like X. I can't really think of a good movie that she was in, which is really sad because she should be in some of these Downfall Girl movies. Okay, let's get her in, like, you know, the Misery, teen girl collapsing type movies, because
I really don't know who talented. She is.
She was the young Jane the Virgin, and she was on You, and she's really talented, but she just, it's like the same rant Terry
I don't know
had
what
about,
either of those things are. I'm just saying, like, I don't know who she is. Like, I mean, I know that she was in this movie, and I know that she was in, like, the Addams Family TV show.
That's the biggest thing is she was. That's the biggest thing.
She was great in Wednesday.
She was Wednesday in Wednesday, yeah.
I feel like Terry had this rant about
Beetlejuice.
Terry had this rant about Thomas and McKenzie a few months ago. This is the rant I have. It's the same rant, except I have it about Jenna Ortega. Jenna Ortega, please make better movies. I love watching your Instagram stories about the great Criterion Collection movies you watch. You obviously have great, immaculate film taste, impeccable film taste. Now actually make some good movies.
She's also in Iron Man 3. She plays the vice president's sick daughter. In Iron Man 3. Yeah.
Who could forget?
Yeah. Of course. But yeah, no, she's the young, like, sound tech in X, right? that
Yep.
gets convinced to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I didn't think about it until you just said that, but looking through, I mean, I haven't seen much of what she's done, but I never watched Wednesday, but I heard that she's amazing in it.
She is really good at Wednesday. I think she's really talented. I just wish, I don't know, for someone who proclaims to have great film taste on social media, why doesn't she make better movies? It's curious. I don't know. I don't quite understand. But she's still young in her career, and it will be nice to see her grow out of the Winona Ryder 80s stage when she can actually play adults. That would be nice to see.
Yeah. She's 22, so she's got some time. She's got some time.
Move on.
Yep, let's do it. Moving on. 1.5 stars from Todd and Zach. 2.5 from me. It's thrice declined. Death of a Unicorn.
Adam liked it.
And
not quad
declined by the box office too. Just laid a goose egg there. So if it sounds interesting, I thought it looked kind of interesting, and yeah, it's in theaters. Probably won't be for much longer, but it's there.